What if I told you that despite growing threats from China, Taiwan's military budget is shrinking? Why does Taiwan spend so little on defense, even though it's surrounded by geopolitical tension? Let's dive into the surprising factors behind their minimal military expenditure, from political challenges to strategic ambiguities with the US. Find out what might be driving this perplexing trend and what it means for the future. Ever since Mao Zedong's Communist Revolution in 1949, Chinese leaders have had one big goal: reclaim Taiwan. This island was where the Republic of China and the Kuomintang leaders fled. We've talked about this issue many times on Visual Politic. With the Chinese economy slowing down, domestic problems, and the trade war with the US, the nationalist rhetoric has only grown. The Taiwan issue, which is a big part of why China is rapidly modernizing its military, fuels Chinese nationalism like nothing else. Given this threat, you'd think Taiwan would be spending more on its defense, right? After all, its very existence could be at risk. Despite a slight recent increase, Taiwan has been spending less and less on defense over the years. From 1996 to 2019, the percentage of GDP spent on defense was cut in half. Even with plans to increase military spending, the changes are minimal. Taiwan is set to have its smallest rise in defense spending in 6 years. It's surprising that with China's growing threat and Taiwan's key role in global tech due to its microchips, the island isn't investing more in defense. Taiwan spends $79 per person on defense, similar to countries without major threats like the Netherlands or New Zealand. In contrast, Singapore spends about $2,200 per person, and Israel nearly $3,000. It seems like the US is more worried about Taiwan's security than the Taiwanese government itself. What's even stranger is that most Taiwanese people actually want to increase military spending. Over half of them support a defense budget of 3% of GDP, and 41% would even pay higher taxes to make that happen. In 2023, Taiwan would have needed to spend $6.6 billion more to meet this goal. If there's a real threat and public support for more spending, why is Taiwan's defense budget so low? Let's explore this mystery. One possible reason is a false sense of security. Many believe that if China attacks Taiwan, the US will definitely come to the island's aid. This belief might be influencing Taiwan's lower defense spending. But is that assumption entirely accurate? To start, Taiwan's defense strategy with the US is based on something called strategic ambiguity. This means that the US neither confirms nor denies whether it would protect Taiwan if China invaded. Unlike South Korea, there is no formal protection agreement or defensive umbrella in place. The only current assurance Taiwan has is from President Joe Biden, who has promised to defend Taiwan. However, if Biden leaves office and a less committed president takes over, Taiwan might have nothing guaranteed. It's surprising that one of America's most threatened allies lacks a solid protection plan. Here's why the situation is so complicated. First, the US does not officially recognize Taiwan as a state, only recognizing the People's Republic of China since 1979. Taiwan has never declared independence, which limits Washington's options. Moreover, China's growing economic power makes it a major player in global supply chains. This economic strength gives Beijing a significant advantage and leverage. If the US takes strong action to defend Taiwan, China could retaliate and severely impact the US economy. The European Union and other Western allies in Asia, heavily reliant on trade with China, would face enormous economic consequences. It's no secret that the US has sometimes made decisions that don't benefit Taiwan to avoid upsetting China. For example, in 2001, when George Bush was building an anti-terrorism alliance after 9/11, he delayed a sale of F-16 fighters to Taiwan, so China would help with the fight against terrorism. This showed that the US prioritized its own interests over Taiwan's defense. This pattern continues today. The US has been slow to deliver weapons to Taiwan, with a backlog of around $19 billion in equipment, more than Taiwan's entire military budget for 2023. This delays their plans and discourages them from buying more from the US. You might think Taiwan could just buy weapons from other countries like the UK, France, or Israel. However, the situation is complicated. Since Taiwan is not widely recognized, and any arms used would likely be in conflict with China, other countries are hesitant to sell arms to Taiwan for fear of angering China. For example, South Korea exports a lot to China and wouldn't risk upsetting them. Plus, the US arms industry wouldn't be happy if Taiwan switched suppliers. Given that most people in Taiwan think the US will come to their help in an invasion, they may not see the need to invest extensively in weaponry or seek alternative suppliers. But there's more to this story. Taiwan's low defense spending cannot be attributed only to the United States and other countries. Taiwan is also to blame, and here's why. In most areas, right-leaning parties favor greater military spending, while left-leaning ones do less. However, in Taiwan, it's the reverse. The right-wing Kuomintang and People's Party are reluctant to boost defense expenditure, but the center-left Democratic Progressive Party, which is presently in power, wants to spend more. Taiwan's political situation complicates defense planning. For example, Taiwan's 2023 defense budget was $16.6 billion, but only $13 billion was officially budgeted. These large differences are due to political challenges in approving defense spending. The Kuomintang, which favors improving relations with China, and the People's Party, which prefers spending on social issues, both resist increasing defense budgets. The government, being in the minority, faces obstacles from these parties, resulting in smaller, incremental military budgets. Given all this, it's no surprise that many analysts say Taiwan's parliament slows down stable and reliable defense spending. Without a large, consistent budget, it's hard to reform or modernize the military. If you have funds one year but not the next, it can undermine efforts. Another issue is public support. While over half of Taiwanese want more defense spending, almost half do not. Taiwan is known for its strong welfare state, somewhat like Sweden in Asia. Many people think that money spent on defense means less for social services like affordable housing. These efforts may aim to make Taiwanese people feel that they don't need to worry about China. Furthermore, because Taiwan and China speak the same language, some Taiwanese may feel more connected to China. Many Taiwanese people think that spending a lot of money on defense is worthless. They believe that China is too powerful, and that no matter how much they spend, they cannot equal China's force. Another reason many Taiwanese feel protected is that Taiwan is an island. They feel that the surrounding sea and underwater mines make it too difficult and costly for China to conquer. These natural barriers are considered good defense against any attack. Furthermore, a big majority of Taiwanese people, roughly 55%, believe that the United States will aid them if there is a conflict. This trust in US assistance helps them feel more comfortable and less bothered about investing much on their own military. Analysts suggest that a conflict could also severely impact China. Disruption of trade in the Taiwan Strait and a potential exodus of companies from China could result in a massive loss of up to 25% of China's GDP. Despite pressure from the US to increase defense spending, Taiwan's internal political divisions, varying views on the Chinese threat, and domestic spending priorities have kept their defense budget relatively low compared to the threat they face. That's it for today. What do you think? Does Taiwan have a realistic view of its defense capabilities? Should it be spending more on its military? And in the event of a conflict with China, do you believe the US would really step in to help? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's get a discussion going. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.